Have you ever noticed that sometimes, even after 8 full hours of sleep, the first second upon waking feels utterly draining? It's not the grogginess of drowsiness, it's a hollow emptiness seeping from your bones. When the alarm rings, you're not truly waking up. You're being shoved back into reality. Your eyes open, but your heart remains locked shut. Your mind automatically lists the tasks ahead. Reply to emails, attend the morning meeting, organize files, pretend to have energy. So you sit up, wash your face, get dressed, and head out. Your body executing commands, while your soul stays in standby mode. To others, you look perfectly normal, even efficient. You're just stressed, they say. Go to bed earlier. You nod, murmuring yeah. But inside, you grow quieter still. Because you know the problem isn't poor sleep. It's that even in sleep, you never truly rest. That feeling is like a faint, persistent tremor in your heart. As if some invisible force is steadily draining your energy. You don't know what you're fighting, but you know that if you let go, everything will collapse. You start to wonder if you're just being dramatic. Others are busy too, tired too, working overtime. Why can they still laugh, still feel excited? You even try to convince yourself it's nothing. Just hold on a little longer. But every morning when you open your eyes, you're trapped in the same loop. Whether it's Monday or Sunday, the exhaustion from yesterday just carries over. You don't want to face anyone, yet you're afraid of being seen as lazy. So you smile, greet people, send messages, maintaining the facade that your energy is intact. But deep down, you know that smile is no longer a response, it's a shield. Sometimes you feel like a battery drained by time itself. Every night, sleep is like plugging into a charger. But no matter how long you charge, it never fills up. This is the state so many people are living in, outwardly awake, inwardly crumbling, expending effort all day to hold it together, and at night, expending even more to stay silent. It's not a lack of rest, it's never truly stopping. This isn't laziness, nor a failure of discipline. It's a silent self-consumption, a fatigue that's deeply misunderstood. You begin to realize that the issue isn't, should I try harder? It's why you're always trying in the first place. They are always running, not because they want to, but because they can't stop. The first thing in the morning isn't a stretch, it's picking up the phone, checking messages, emails, new tasks, not out of anticipation, but fear of missing something. Fear of falling behind, fear of being called not fast enough. In meetings, they nod, take notes, respond. Even when their mind is blank, they catch every word. They are always preparing, responding, soothing. Their expressions are steady, their tone gentle. They rarely refuse and never raise their voice. To outsiders, they seem emotionally stable, as if they never tire, never get irritated, never mess up. They are reliable, but no one asks if that reliability is coming at a cost. They've learned to mask tension with smiles, to cover resentment with rationality. Sometimes, a casual criticism from someone makes their chest burn hot, but they still smile and say, "It's fine, I can handle it." They sense others' moods before they erupt, apologizing preemptively. They fear conflict, fear misunderstanding, so they are always the first to yield. These are the quietest people in any crowd. You've probably seen them. The colleague silently working late in the office corner. The partner cleaning up at home while insisting I'm okay. The friend who always posts things are good lately online. They appear perfectly ordered, but they are long past exhaustion. At night, when they get home, they want to collapse into sleep. But their brain replays the day. Did I say something wrong? Was that "it's okay" too distant? Did I upset someone somewhere? They rehearse, explain, compensate internally. Even when no one has blamed them, they blame themselves. They know how to rest, but rest brings guilt. That blank space of stopping makes them anxious. It feels like only by doing something can they avoid being forgotten by the world. So they loop endlessly, burning themselves during the day to maintain stability, and at night apologizing to themselves for the day's efforts. This misunderstood outward pattern makes them seem stronger than anyone, but that strength grew from fear. They think others like the version of them that's always fine, so they hide, restrain, comply. The more they're seen as sensible, the more their needs are overlooked. No one knows they don't crave applause. They crave a gentle, "You can stop now." They're not really choosing to keep pushing. No one's ever told them that the world won't collapse if they pause. So they choose silence, trading silence for safety, exhaustion for acceptance. Sometimes they forget themselves. That constant good behavior is slowly wearing them down. Many assume exhaustion comes from lack of sleep, but what truly wears you out is living in a chronic state of always ready to respond. In psychology, there's a term, hyperarousal. It means your body and nervous system are trapped in constant alert mode, like a computer that's never shut down, just idling with the light on. Outwardly quiet, but internally draining power. When someone lives long-term under pressure, criticism, or uncertainty, the brain mistakes it for perpetual danger. It keeps pumping cortisol to stay vigilant. Your heart beats a little faster, muscles subtly tense. You think it's focus, but it's your alarm system that never turns off. That's why, even after 8 hours in bed, your body doesn't enter repair mode. You're sleeping shallowly, waking defensively. When your nervous system can't safely shut down, relaxation feels threatening. You may know this. Finally settling into rest, only to surge with anxiety, wanting to scroll, do something, anything. You call it boredom. It's your brain hunting threats. This is your body protecting you, not weak willpower. Your physiology has been wired to forbid full release. Look at those who chronically suppress, over-control, overthink. Their bodies carry the fear for them. They don't cry, yell, or rebel, but their bodies whisper, "I'm exhausted." This is the essence of psychological defense. When you can't change your environment, you change yourself. You learn endurance, compliance, rationalization. You turn chaos into manageable order. For example, afraid of rejection, they always say it's fine first. Afraid of conflict, they swallow anger. Afraid of misunderstanding, they over-explain everything. They call it maturity. It's a survival strategy. When someone learns early that to be liked, you must be careful. They constantly scan for others' reactions. Over time, this vigilance becomes default. Even rest turns into a task. Relaxation must be just right, not too long. So their exhaustion isn't physical laziness. It's the soul in perpetual defense, a constant self-protection reflex. It's ironic. We spend a lifetime learning to strive, but are never taught how to safely relax. If you always wake up feeling drained, it's not that you're broken, it's that you've never been allowed to truly feel safe. In many people's stories, exhaustion didn't start in adulthood. It began much earlier. Back then, it wasn't called exhaustion, it was called being good. As children, they were the most sensible ones. When parents fought, they cleared the table quietly. When adults were upset, they retreated to their room. They learned to stay silent amid crying, to nod and smile amid blame. One time, they tried expressing discontent, "I feel sad too." and got a cold. Why are you so fragile? So they learned to shut up. One time, they failed a test and sought comfort, only to hear, "How can you not even do this?" So they learned not to ask for help. One time they cried and was scolded. "If you cry again, I won't like you." So they learned to smile before crying. From those moments, their bodies learned to tense preemptively. Emotions became danger signals. Relaxation became a luxury. They had no safe embrace, so they built walls in their own hearts. They weren't allowed to stop, so they traded efficiency for a sense of existence. As adults, they carry that same logic. Don't disappoint anyone. Don't cause trouble. Don't make mistakes. Put others first, yourself last. They mistook this obedience for love, believing that being good enough meant they wouldn't be abandoned. So in every act of giving as adults, they repeat that silent people-pleasing. Sometimes, in the dead of night alone, a memory flashes. Sitting by the door as a child, hearing arguments inside, wanting to intervene but fearing scolding. That moment of reaching out, then pulling back. That's when they learned suppression. From then on, they stopped believing in safety. They only believed in control. When a child grows up in neglect or judgment, their body switches to alert mode automatically. Over time, that vigilance becomes part of their personality. Even when the world changes, their nervous system still lives in the old battlefield. So when you wake up exhausted now, it's not about today. It's that breath you never got to exhale years ago, still stuck in your body. You're not tense for no reason. It's been too long since you had a safe reason not to be. This isn't your fault. It was your smartest choice as a child. In a world that forbade crying, you learned to smile. If I stop, I'll lose everything. If I rest, I'll be left behind. If I say I'm tired, no one will care. These beliefs didn't appear overnight. They were carved into your body, bit by bit, from countless times of being ignored, interrupted, blamed. When someone learns suppression too early, they mistake it for maturity. They mistake compliance for safety. They mistake silence for strength. Over time, their world becomes a hidden theater. All pain must be packaged acceptably. All needs hidden in reasonable excuses. They learn to pretend I don't need anything, to avoid yet another disappointment. Some over-responsibilize at work, fearing not trying hard enough. Some over-accommodate in relationships, fearing being too difficult. Some always solve others' problems, because that's how they prove their worth. This pattern creeps in unnoticed. You don't see it because it's become how you see the world. So they start believing love must be earned through performance, safety maintained through control, relaxation is irresponsibility. These beliefs run like background programs, making them scan every situation, judging where things might go wrong, what needs fixing. This constant mental processing turns them into machines, always crunching data in the background. Even when calm on the surface, their minds never stop. Is that person upset? Did I fall short somewhere? Should I apologize proactively? Their consciousness is trained for perpetual self-correction. No matter if others actually care, they scrutinize themselves endlessly. And the irony, they think this makes them more reliable. But it slowly erodes their vitality. They think they're maintaining order, but they're gradually losing themselves. So when someone says, "I'm just so tired," it's rarely about one sleepless night. It's about a decade without stopping. They've never truly allowed themselves, allowed to rest, to fail, to break down. In their belief system, relaxing nearly equals giving up. Their soul is bound to a conditional sentence. As long as I keep trying, I deserve to exist. So the busier they get, the emptier they feel. The more perfect, the more alone. The more they're praised as disciplined, the less they know what freedom feels like. In that moment, they realize they weren't living. They were constantly proving they were alive. As adults, they thought they'd escaped that suffocating childhood. But reality is, their bodies remember that way of surviving. Even without external pressure, they pressure themselves. At work, they're always the most reliable. They take on more tasks than others, because they can't say no. When someone asks, "Can you help?" they agree instantly, without hesitation, not from kindness, but fear. Fear of seeming uncooperative. So they're repeatedly taken advantage of, yet can't complain. Overtime becomes routine, sacrifice becomes habit. While others relax after work, they're catching up on responsibility. In love, they repeat the same logic. Always giving, understanding, accommodating. They apologize first in arguments. Reach out first in cold wars. They fear abandonment. So they suppress themselves to keep the peace. They don't know how to be cared for, because in their world, being cared for means burdening others. So they learn to collapse with dignity. Before crying, they lock themselves in the bathroom. Even in pain, they pour water for others. With friends, they're always the listener. Others vent, they comfort patiently. When hurt themselves, they smile. It's nothing. They understand others so well that no one truly understands them. Over time, they become emotional islands. The more sensible they are, the more overlooked. The gentler, the more consumed. In the dead of night, when they finally drop the social mask, their brain starts replaying. Was I too distant today? Did that comment offend anyone? Was I not good enough? Their nervous system loops, anxiety, guilt, self-blame, reset. Sleep becomes a battle. Body exhausted, mind racing. Sometimes they haven't done much, yet feel completely hollowed out. That exhaustion even makes them dread morning sunlight, because sunlight means it's starting again. This chronic tension gradually numbs their ability to feel. They smile naturally, but no longer joyfully. Work diligently, but without fulfillment. Talk to people, yet feel increasingly alone. That's the cost. When someone maintains being needed for years, they lose the capacity to be understood. They start doubting if all kindness is transactional. They fear every "I'm fine" is just hiding collapse. They seem to have it all, but inside they're fracturing. They're so good at maintaining, no one sees them falling. Then one day they truly collapse. Not with tears, but silently. They sit on the floor, staring into space, unable to speak. That's not sadness, it's total depletion. They finally stop explaining, stop arguing, stop justifying their exhaustion. They realize this isn't laziness, nor lack of strength. It's being trained into perpetual tension as a survival mode. Their body speaks through exhaustion. That daily feeling of waking with a weight on your back. Is your nervous system crying for help? It's your soul saying, "I don't want to defend anymore." It's not weakness, it's adaptation. They're not underachievers. They've been surviving too long. They're not bad at handling pressure. Their capacity has been exhausted. When they finally understand, "I'm not broken, I've just been unsafe too long," their heart begins to soften. For the first time, they feel a bit of space. That space isn't large, but it's breathable. They start allowing themselves to go slower. One day, after work, they don't reply to messages immediately. They just sit by the window, watching the sky darken. In that moment, no anxiety, just quietly existing. That's the first time they experience being alive, not keeping things running. They also begin reflecting on years of self-criticism. They understand. It wasn't that they weren't good enough, but that they were demanded to be too good too soon. It wasn't that they couldn't express, but that they learned to shut up too early. It wasn't that they didn't know love, but that they maintained it through appeasement. That moment of self-awareness isn't dramatic epiphany, but gentle heartbreak. They see that never-comforted child in themselves. The kid who was desperately well-behaved to avoid trouble. The adult who apologized and yielded repeatedly in relationships. Finally they tell him, "You've tried hard enough." In that moment, they don't cry. They just exhale deeply, as if some of the weight in their body finally lifts. Awakening isn't fierce rebellion. It's more like quiet understanding. When you stop forcing yourself to prove your worth, when you finally allow "I can't," you become truly strong. They discover you don't need to be always ready to respond. You can go slower, messier, more tired. Humans aren't machines. Not every morning requires full energy. This isn't falling apart. It's becoming real. They start accepting. That exhaustion itself is a signal. When you feel powerless, it's not time to push harder. It's time to pause and listen to what your body wants to say. In that moment, a thought emerges. Maybe I deserve to be cared for. Healing isn't suddenly getting it. It's gradually learning to be with yourself. One day, you realize the world doesn't collapse if you rest one day. Emails can wait till tomorrow. Others won't leave if you don't explain. Not replying isn't negligence. It's finally listening to yourself. Healing begins when you stop proving your worth. The old "you always met expectations" confirmed existence through being needed. Now, you practice being needed by yourself. You stop equating usefulness with value, and slowly learn existing is enough. You start reconnecting with your body, not using it to carry, but to listen. Eat when hungry, sleep when tired. No longer forcing must finish. You discover gentleness isn't laziness. It's respect for life. You also rediscover boundaries, not distancing from others, but honoring yourself. When you say no, you're not rejecting them. You're protecting your energy. That sense of boundary gives you safety for the first time. You begin distinguishing what's the me others need from the real me. You allow yourself instability. Sometimes anxious, sometimes calm, sometimes chaotic, but this time you don't blame yourself. You just watch emotions come and go. Like clouds, they won't stay forever. One day on the subway, watching city lights flash by outside, you suddenly realize you're not so tense anymore. You're not constantly scanning for risks. You're just sitting quietly. In that moment, you're not escaping life. You're returning to it. Healing isn't becoming positive. It's learning to live with your shadows. You understand. Exhaustion was never the enemy. Just a signal. You've gone too far. Come back and rest. Gradually, you find a new rhythm. Mornings, you wake without grabbing your phone immediately. You breathe deeply, feel the warmth of the bed. You tell yourself, it doesn't have to be perfect today, that's okay. In relationships, you stop rushing to explain. You learn to say, I need some time. At work, you stop masking fear with trying harder. You start trusting. Being seen doesn't require performance. Little by little, you move from defense to permission, from control to trust, from depletion to flow. This isn't escaping the world. It's finally reconciling with yourself. You're no longer driven by the past, but propelled by inner peace. When you find calm in a glass of water, a ray of sunlight. You no longer need anxiety to prove you exist. You return to life's most natural state. Being, not performing. One day, they finally understand. Exhaustion was never failure. It was just your soul reminding you. You'd gone too long without pausing. For years, they thought strength was silence. That being good earned love, that not troubling anyone would bring some gentleness. But later they discovered silence made them lonely. Being good made them invisible. Not burdening others numbed themselves. They once saw living well as the goal. Now they wonder, what does truly living mean? Not endlessly completing tasks, not forever maintaining surface calm, but breathing gently, even in chaos. They finally allow themselves to be tired. Allow stopping. Allow doing nothing. Because they know, pausing isn't wasting time. It's letting the soul catch up to the body. They finally understand. Calm isn't suppression, but sitting safely after all defenses drop. They were never broken, just forced to survive too early. They never malfunctioned. They just learned survival too soon. That wasn't a flaw, it was instinct. And now they're slowly learning, not just to survive, but to live. They start trusting time again, believing relationships can be gentle, that quiet can be safe. They no longer see love as a test, rest as a sin. When they wake in the morning, sunlight filtering through curtains onto their face, they no longer think, today I must improve. Instead, they think softly, today, just like this is enough. Silence wasn't peace, it was protection. But now, peace is finally possible. They don't need to change the world overnight. Being able to live steadily in the present is already enough. So they learn. No need to trade perfection for love, exhaustion for worth. Just existing makes them worthy. This is their true awakening, not from dreams, but from defense. They rest, and for the first time, rest doesn't feel wrong.